Okay, let's unpack this. What if Vietnam's genetic story isn't just a straight line, you know? What if it's more like a beautiful, intricate braid?
A braid. I like that metaphor.
Yeah, you've got ancient foragers, early rice farmers, seafaring traders, all these distinct strands, but they're still visible, still kind of resonating today.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fascinating puzzle we're really opening up for you today. Our mission is to help you shortcut to being truly well-informed about these deep layers of history etched right into Vietnam's DNA.
And crucially, what that incredible genetic tapestry actually means for people's health, their lives, right now.
Exactly. Because, you see, our sources consistently emphasize that Vietnam was never some simple monoculture. It was always this vibrant, ever-evolving genetic crossroads.
More like a complex, dynamic blender of lineages, perhaps, than a single static identity.
That's a great way to put it, a blender.
And what's truly compelling here, I think, is how ancient DNA is now letting us trace these layers right back, way back to the beginning.
Like with that Man Bạc site.
Precisely. Discoveries at the Neolithic Man Bạc site up in northern Vietnam, they've been incredibly revealing. Researchers looked at ancient genomes from there, and they found that even those early farming communities, this is around 4,100 years ago, they weren't homogeneous at all.
Right, not just one group moving in.
Now, instead, they found a significant blend. Roughly 70% of their ancestry linked back to agriculturalists from what's now southern China.
Okay, the farmers.
But then, and this is key, about 30% came from a deeply diverged local hunter-gatherer lineage.
Ah, the Hoabinhian connection.
Exactly. Often people connected with the Hoabinhian foragers, a really distinctive group known for their unique stone tools. They were among the earliest inhabitants there.
So this tells us the blending wasn't something that happened later. It was happening right from that initial shift towards agriculture.
Right from the start, that 70-30 split. It's not just some historical footnote, is it?
No, it sounds fundamental, like it's rewriting how we understand the spread of farming and populations in Southeast Asia.
It really is. It shows this rapid, significant intermingling. It wasn't just one group completely replacing another.
And this isn't just ancient history, then. It gives us a lens for modern Vietnam.
Absolutely, because if you zoom out, you still see this incredible diversity today. Our sources, like info from vietnam.gov.vn, they highlight 54 officially recognized ethnic groups.
54?
Yeah, and while the Kin people make up, about 87% of the population?
It's the majority, yeah.
There are still 53 distinct minority groups, many spread across the highlands. And this cultural map, well, it turns out it's like a living mirror of exactly what geneticists keep finding.
A mosaic, not a single Vietnam gene.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, those ancient Man Bạc results, they really fit into a broader Southeast Asian story.
How so?
Well, you have these waves of movement coming down from the north, those early farmers we mentioned.
Right.
They encounter and, crucially, mix with older forager groups who were already well established in the region.
The Hoabinhian-related people.
And then, over millennia, you get even more migrations, robust trade networks flowing through critical pathways like the Red River Delta along the coasts.
So more layers of mixing.
Constantly.
Yeah.
It paints this picture of Vietnam as both a receiver and a really skilled blender of genetic lines, which is exactly what you'd expect at such a vital geographic crossroads,
A constant dynamic interplay.
That's the word. Different peoples, their unique genetic contributions, all weaving together.
That blend of ancient foragers and farmers from the north really paints a vivid picture of early Vietnam's genetic foundation. But what I find most intriguing, and honestly quite impactful, is how that ancient past isn't just stuck in history books. It actively shapes something as immediate and personal as our health today.
That's where it gets really practical.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting, because this ancient genetic story, it has tangible impacts on health, on medical decisions for you, for your family. Our sources bring 3 crucial numbers to light.
Numbers that are like modern reflections of those ancient strands intertwining.
Perfectly put. First up, let's talk drug safety.
Okay.
We learned that among the Kinh Vietnamese population, scientists found a specific genetic variant in allele. It's called HLA-B 15.02.
Right.
And it shows a frequency of about 11.9% in some high-resolution studies. Now, for those of us not deep in genetics, what does that 11.9% really mean? In terms of actual risk, how does it impact treatments like for carbamazepine?
That's precisely the point, and it's a critical piece of information. So an allele is just a specific version of a gene, right? Like different versions of an instruction manual for our bodies.
Got it.
This particular one, HLA-B 15.02, it's strongly linked to a severe, sometimes life-threatening adverse drug reaction, specifically to carbamazepine, which is often used for epilepsy.
How severe are we talking?
We're talking conditions like Stevens-Johnson syndrome. It causes widespread blistering of the skin, mucous membranes. It's really serious.
Wow.
So an 11.9% frequency means roughly, what, 1 in 8 kin Vietnamese individuals carry this variant?
1 in 8. That's significant.
It is. For a drug with such severe potential side effects, this isn't just some clinical curiosity.
Yeah.
It makes pre-screening for this gene variant not just a good idea, but increasingly essential for patient safety in the region.
So it's a direct link from that ancient genetic heritage right to the prescription pad today.
Absolutely direct.
That's a powerful point on drug safety. Okay, moving from drug reactions to another big health concern, one that really shows Vietnam's ongoing genetic diversity, thalassemia. Our deep dive found some crucial info there, too.
Yes, thalassemia. It's a group of inherited blood disorders. They can lead to anemia, and the severe forms might need lifelong blood transfusions.
And the carrier status is important, right?
Very important. Being a carrier often means you don't show symptoms yourself. But if you have a child with another carrier, there's a significant risk the child could inherit a severe form.
Okay.
And there was a recent large-scale study, huge data set, over 10,000 Vietnamese pregnant women and their partners. It found pretty significant carrier numbers across the population.
What were the numbers?
Specifically, researchers detected roughly 10.7% carrying the α-thalassemia gene variants.
Over 10%. Wow.
And about 2.2% carrying α-thalassemia variants.
So these aren't rare conditions.
Not at all, especially the carrier states. This isn't just a statistic. It really shouts out how crucial prenatal counseling and good lab capacity are for families across Vietnam. And here's where that braid metaphor comes back in strongly. Our sources also emphasize that certain minority communities, they can have much, much higher rates.
So it varies significantly between groups.
Exactly. Highlighting that the genetic diversity we were just discussing isn't just cultural, it has profound medical implications for specific groups.
So these are conditions that can truly impact a family right from the very start, which brings us to newborn screening.
Yes, critical for early intervention.
For example, studies in Quang Ninh province found that about 2.7% of babies there were diagnosed with something called G6PD deficiency. What is that exactly?
G6PD deficiency stands for glucose-6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. It's another one of these inherited enzyme issues.
Okay.
This enzyme, G6PD, it's vital for protecting our red blood cells. Without enough of it, something as common as, say, eating fava beans.
Fava beans, really?
Yes, or taking certain antibiotics, even some over-the-counter meds, it could trigger a dangerous condition called hemolysis in a baby. That's where red blood cells rapidly break down.
That sounds scary.
It can be. And without early screening, parents might have no idea their child is at risk until a crisis hits.
And does this also vary across Vietnam?
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Just like with thalassemia, older surveys show the prevalence of G6PD deficiency varies widely by region and by ethnic group.
So again, it perfectly tracks with the country's rich, braided genetic diversity.
Precisely. These are numbers that profoundly affect decisions right from infancy onwards. It just shows how these inherited traits shape daily life.
Okay, so we've seen the deep history and the direct health impacts. But as with any deep dive like this, especially into origins and public health,
There are always complexities.
exactly, you inevitably find areas where the scientific and ethical debates really heat up. Our sources illuminate some important considerations for you, highlighting the complexity of this rich genetics story.
It's never simple, is it?
Never. First, there's this fascinating ongoing discussion in the scientific community about how farming and language actually spread across Southeast Asia, including Vietnam.
Right, the big picture model.
Yeah. Was it mainly incoming people, a massive wave of migrants who basically replaced earlier populations? Or was it more about strong local roots?
Where existing populations adopted new tech and languages.
Exactly. That's the debate.
And it raises a really important question for historians, linguists, geneticists, everyone involved. While some scholars argue for what they call a two-layer model,
2 layers.
suggesting farming and language spread mainly through 2 distinct large waves of people coming in, largely replacing who was there before. Others emphasize local continuity. This view believes that the existing indigenous populations gradually adopted new practices, new tech, leading to more genetic and cultural retention from those earlier groups.
So adoption versus replacement, essentially.
Kind of. And what's so compelling now with ancient DNA, our sources from nature and other journals are indicating it's probably both.
Not so black and white.
No. There's clear evidence for significant migrant populations coming in. You can see their genetic signature. But also persistent earlier ancestry. That Hoabinhian-related signal, it doesn't just disappear.
So it's a dynamic interplay again.
Exactly. Expect this to be an ongoing debate, especially as we get more prehistoric genomes from Vietnam and the whole region. The more data we get, the more nuanced this story looks.
That's a fascinating scientific puzzle, but what are the sort of practical implications of those two different views? Does it change how we think about the foundations of Vietnamese culture or language?
Absolutely it does. If you lean toward a purely two-layer model, it implies a more dramatic, almost replacement-level shift. It suggests that much of what we see as Vietnamese today came primarily from outside.
Okay.
But with the evidence for local continuity, it suggests a much more complex, adaptive process. Indigenous groups integrating new things, leading to a richer, blended cultural tapestry.
It redefines who the ancestors really are.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And how their legacy, both genetic and cultural, is woven into the present. It helps us appreciate that Vietnamese identity has probably always been a conversation, a negotiation between many influences.
Right. Now, shifting gears a bit, but connected to those health numbers we talked about.
The thalassemia and G6PD rates.
Yeah. Given those double-digit thalassemia carrier rates, those notable G6PD deficiency pockets, a really critical question emerges for public health policy. Not just in Vietnam, but in similar diverse nations.
The screening question.
Exactly. How far should screening go? Should it be universal? For all newborns, all pregnant couples? Or targeted only to certain high-risk groups? Or maybe just an opt-in system?
And this isn't just a medical question, is it? It's deeply human, deeply ethical.
Absolutely.
It really is. On one side, you have supporters of widespread screening. They cite prevention, informed choice as key benefits.
Makes sense. Early detection saves lives, prevents crises, empowers families.
Right. Knowing your carrier status allows for genetic counseling, which can significantly reduce the incidence of severe forms of these diseases over time.
But there's another side.
There is. Critics raise important concerns. Potential stigma, for example, especially if screening leads to labeling certain ethnic groups.
I can see that.
And worries about data misuse. Plus, the practical challenges cost infrastructure for universal screening, especially in remote or underserved areas.
So the numbers are real, the conditions are real.
Undeniably real. But the policy choices, they're complex. They involve balancing individual rights, public health goals, and reflecting the very nuanced needs of a diverse population.
A tough balancing act. And that leads to a final crucial point, doesn't it, about making sure the research itself is comprehensive.
Yes, the sampling issue.
Many genetic studies, often just out of practicality, tend to focus mainly on the kin people, simply because they're the majority.
Which makes sense on one level. They are 87% of the population.
But as we've said, Vietnam has 53 distinct minority groups.
Exactly. Each with their own unique histories, cultural practices, and importantly, their own unique genetic profiles. Scientists are very clear on this. Broadening the sampling beyond just the majority group is absolutely essential.
Otherwise, you risk getting a skewed picture.
You risk mistaking one group's genetic profile for the entire country's. You could miss critical health risks or unique genetic traits present in other communities.
It's about getting the full, rich, accurate picture of Vietnam's entire genetic landscape.
Not just a partial sketch. And it affects everything, from how drugs are developed to understanding disease susceptibility for everyone in the country.
So wrapping this up, you can really see that Vietnam's genetic story isn't that straight line at all. It truly is this complex, resilient braid.
Woven through millennia.
Yeah. From ancient foragers, early rice farmers, bustling traders, those distinct strands, they're still visible today.
And what's truly special here, I think, is that there isn't one single Vietnam gene. That's the key takeaway.
Right.
Our sources highlight this layered archive, that deep Hoabinhian-related ancestry, then significant inputs from Neolithic farmers coming from the north, and then all the later reshuffling through centuries of trade, migration, the ebb and flow of empires.
And this archive isn't just academic history.
Not at all. It shows up directly in those health-relevant markers we talked about, like HLA-B 15.02. It shows up in the regional carrier patterns for conditions like thalassemia and G6PD deficiency. And you see it vividly in the country's living cultural map today.
So Vietnam's genome tells this braided story.
That still profoundly shapes practical decisions. From figuring out which medication is safe for someone to how you design nationwide screening programs for the health of future generations, it's really an incredible testament to human movement, adaptation, and mixing over time.
So when someone asks you, why is the Vietnam gene so special? You can confidently say, it isn't one note.
No, definitely not.
It's a powerful, resonating chord. Old and new, river and mountain, farmer and forager, all still resonating right now in the present, shaping lives in really tangible ways.
A beautiful summary.
Which leads to a final thought for you listening. What stories did your own family tell about their origins? Were they from the Delta, the Highlands, the coast? Do these scientific findings we discussed today, do they match your oral history? Or maybe they complicate it in intriguing and wonderful ways?